Didn't think so. Evening, everybody. Thanks very much for coming in. You're all very welcome. Hope you're all safe and well. And welcome to our casual, laid-back chat with, I'm going to try and say it, Roisin In Wonderland. Did I get it right?
No.
Roisin. Well,
Roisin.
It starts with an R. So thanks for coming in, though. And as you know, Charlie's there as well. I suppose you better say hello to Charlie.
That's shocking.
What?
Give Charlie a call.
And our other guest tonight is Mr. Charlie, the twerker from the Hot UK.
You don't have to mention that all the time, mate. It's fine.
I mean, you put it on Facebook or something, or you put it something, you made it public anyway. And now that I've mentioned it, those that haven't seen it will go hunting for it.
You started something now.
You're starting to walk now. So, Roisin featured in episode 3 of Hunted Hunt season 4, Project Invocation. I got that word right as well when I roll tonight.
I didn't get her name right, but you got that word right.
I did. The Ivy House, but we'll come to that a wee bit later. So, Roisin, thanks for coming in. Can you tell us a wee bit, about yourself and what you do, basically?
So, I've got a YouTube channel. I did start off doing urbex on it with a mix of paranormal, but I'm just doing paranormal now because, well, I've done paranormal for years. And so I've only had the channel for a year, but I have done paranormal for years. And so that's all I'm doing on my channel now.
So you've done paranormal. What first got you going with the paranormal?
Don't know. It's something I've always been interested in ever since I was a kid. Always. My partner says it's because I'm a goth.
Well, possibly. So you with myself, I was like a horror fan. I still am a horror fan, but my teenage years, not that long ago, don't say a word. I was right into horror films, Friday 13th, Halloween, and that's what kind of got me into the paranormal. What about you? Were you a kind of horror fan as well, with blood and guts?
Yeah, I mean, I was allowed to watch all the Tim Burton movies and stuff from being quite young, and I remember watching it when I was only about 6, and I've always loved films like that and the paranormal and everything.
You watched the film It when you were 6?
Yeah.
I watched it 24. Crapped myself.
You were underneath the cover when you were 24. So, was that back in the good? Gail's part of your team, so there's Craig there as well. Gail and Craig are part of your team. That back in the days. That's when we only had 3 channels, and then we moved up to channel 4, and channel 5 came along.
You're showing your age now.
I know. So you were like,
we got channel 5.
I know, it was great, wasn't it? It was like satellite TV, channel 5. Charlie, he remembers it as well.
It was always a bit fuzzy.
Aye, and then you go to the dodgy movies on a Friday night.
After 9 o'clock, it turned to the adult channel.
Aye, after your mum and dad went to bed, you got up for the last an hour and a half.
I don't remember.
You'll not remember Channel 5. But I mean, think about it now. I mean, television back then was pretty good, even though we were limited channel-wise compared to what you got 200-300 channels now. And you're always struggling for something to watch. But back then, you were limited, but it was all kind of good stuff. But why we talking TV?
You wouldn't have had an option back then.
We didn't have an option, but I remember good old Channel 5. I don't know if it's still going or not.
Of course, Channel 5's still going.
It's still going. That was back before our time, say that Gail's a young. You know what I mean? The daggers are out.
When did Channel 5 come out?
Channel 5 came out about 1990, 1992, I think, right about then.
Well, before my time then.
I was like 10.
Was it not a bit later than that?
Was it a bit later?
I think it was. It might not have been. It might have been then, and I'm just really old and don't remember.
Gail or Craig can maybe tell us when Channel 5 started up. Craig might remember because he's kind of doing about our age group.
No, my age
No,
group.
not your age group, my age group.
97. It was 97.
97?
Oh, I would definitely not remember it. That's the year I was born.
Or I thought it was a little bit earlier than that. We didn't come on here to talk about TV channels. As good as they were. So you watched it when you were 6, so obviously growing up. Were you kind of different to the other kids? You know, you see these films and you've always you get that kind of person that's into blood and guts and stuff, and they're kind of different from the crowd.
I was usually always the kid that creeps out the other kids with like ghost stories and stuff like that. I remember I used to get told off for scaring my cousins a lot.
All right, did you get a wee buzz? Did you get a wee buzz out of scaring people?
It's just, I don't know. I've just always liked ghost stories and stuff. Like, if my mum was fed up with me, she'd be like, "Just go and look for ghosts." So even as a kid, I'd go off looking for ghosts. So yeah.
Kids usually go and play in the swings or go and play your toys. You get told go and find a graveyard.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, go and look at some headstones or something. But it's hard, you know, it's different, but it's harmless. I mean, I was always fascinated with paranormal, graveyard. I used to hang about graveyards when I was a teenager, you know, stuff like that.
I hung around in graveyards as a teenager.
But I used to hang about them because it was the only place the police didn't check for underage drinking. That's why we used to go, because you know they would drive through parks and stuff, but they never ever checked the graveyards. That's where we used to go, and because I was kind of different, as in I was into dead people and stuff.
You were into dead people. I think you better rephrase that.
That sounds bad. I mean,
You hung about graveyards.
I don't mean it like that. I just clicked how that sounded. That sounded totally wrong. That's a whole other show. You know what I mean? I was fascinated by the death. You know what I mean. So it kind of suited me sort of doing a tea.
Keep digging.
I'll need to. I think I'm digging a big enough hole for myself to know it. So your first investigations and stuff, what were they like?
I actually used to, like, in my early 20s, I used to, go to these organised ones. And there's actually a company near me run by a guy who's a medium. He's called Stephen Mercer, and he's really good. And he has contacts getting some amazing places in Blackpool. And so I first started off doing those. And like just taking pictures while I was there and investigating, and I'd like take my spirit box and everything. It's only the past couple of years I've started, going to my own places and investigating. But I think one of the first places we did and got loads of activity was Ivy House. When I first started my channel about a year ago.
And that's but we only talk about the Ivy House. Have you ever had a scare me, I'm not going back there moment?
There was one place, and it's a really, really old house in a park, and it's mostly burned down and ruins. But I went in there and it felt so bad. I just wanted to leave. And the person I was with was like, "I have never known you leave a place before." And I don't know what it was about the place. I just had to leave. Then that's the only time I've wanted to leave. Usually I don't get fazed by things.
So you're something the same as Charlie and me, because we're kind of like that. We don't get kind of phased out with stuff.
Whereas I run away.
Whereas you run away, you run back to the car and lock the doors.
If I hear a voice or a bang, I head towards it like, "Oh, what was that?"
We were talking about that the other night, Charlie, weren't we? On the, going
would
to
we run away or approach it? And you've always got to approach it because it might not be paranormal, so you have to make sure 100% there's nobody else in that building or wherever you are. So definitely run towards a sound, a bang, anything. I run a mile and shoot my car on.
We actually done that one night.
They did that.
We were in Caldwell and it was like Scott was having a walk, so it was like me, Gail, and another couple of people, and it was all women, and we kept feeling these footsteps and stuff coming through the basement, and we heard whistling and all sorts of noises, and we were like, right, we're in here ourselves, 4 women, let's get out of here.
So we were walking in Caldwell, and it was like 280 acres in the middle. It's what I called it the ring road. It's just a road goes in a circle, basically. We went for a wander right round, and we were kind of happy back up, and we could hear this car horn. And you know how you stop and you're like, well, there was nowhere near, where we were that could account for it. We thought, is that a car horn? And then we heard the beep, 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 beep. And we thought, that's the lasses that's there. So we ran back up, and I was saying we ran out because we could hear footsteps. So we checked the whole place out. We're doing the basement out there, and there was nothing, but they buggered off back to the motor and locked the doors and that. Give them a credit, but they did go back in. They did get back in. This is your partner, Roisin. He's an open minded when it comes to paranormal. We find it interesting. Has he ever been out in investigations with you?
Oh, I've dragged him all sorts of places. I've had him in so many different buildings at 3 a.m. So it is quite interesting that he's good at debunking stuff. But it's like when he hears something, he's not imagining it because he's a skeptic and he wouldn't say otherwise.
But it's good to have somebody like that with you.
It is.
Instead of the whole team or whoever it is, right, that's paranormal. It's good to have somebody there that's thinking, right, well, wait a minute, it could have been a pigeon or it could have been, somebody farting or, whatever. Kind of thing. We couldn't phone you because they were on airplane mode, so tooting the horn was the next best thing.
No earphone. Can't hear earphone.
No, you can't. That's why Reese with us. Reese is Gail's husband. He comes out in investigations with us, and I think he's still he's had a couple of experiences, but I think he's still kind of on the fence about the whole thing. So it's good to have him along, and he's a kind of
sensible to have one. A different perspective of it.
Aye, he's a kind of sensible one in the group. Not that we're all idiots, but he's kind of sanest one, shall we say? You know what I mean? So the Ivy House, haunted house. How did you get involved with the haunted house to do the intro, basically?
So basically, I've got a load of locations through doing urbexing, and it was an abandoned house I found through doing urbex. It's quite well known on the scene, actually. And someone told me that a paranormal group had been and let Zozo into the house. And I was like, let's go then. And they were like, seriously, there's loads of activity here. And the amount of people that I've spoken to that have had activity in the house, and loads of people I know have investigated as well. It's really haunted. No one knows why.
There's a kind of Kane saying that he needs a solid experience to believe fully. I think with skeptics sometimes it takes that one bit that you can't debunk, you can't prove it's something else. To totally kind of make you believe. Well, we wouldn't make a good team if we weren't all nutters. That's very true, isn't it? But Gail's definitely the worst. She's definitely the worst nutter. Same as Charlie is to the haunted hunt. I would say he's the kind of nuttiest one.
You've always got to have one clown, mate. Always. But going back to Kane's comment there, having an open mind, even as paranormal investigators, we still got to have that skeptic side on us as well. because I know before I started, I didn't believe at all. I believed there was something out there, but I wasn't a believer, if you get what I mean. I never really witnessed much on my first investigations or nothing like that. But over the years, as I've seen stuff, I also double questioned myself. Was that real? Is it paranormal? Is it not? You've always got to have a skeptic mind on you. Definitely.
Gail loves your pint, by the way.
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah, I had to add that in because Gail would never forgive me. How the things I can't explain, but it's not quite enough.
Correct the spelling name.
I always feel spelled it wrong. I said it wrong. I mean, I know what Charlie's talking about. I know what you mean because, see, I've been at paranormal for years and years. I've always believed, but it wasn't until we went out investigating that, and you get that whisper, or you get that feeling, or that noise, and you start to think, you know, is it real? Is it no real? It's totally different. As Gail back up watching it, you know, on TV, to be actually being there, you know, and doing the actual investigations. You do feel that, Rog? I can't say her name again.
Call me Roz. People who can't say my name, just call me Roz. It's easy. That's one thing that's different from like watching it on TV. When you're there and you've got that feeling in the pit of your stomach, your hair standing up on the back of your neck and everything, and your scalp prickly. It's completely different when you're actually there.
That's why I always find it really hard now to watch before doing stuff ourselves and, you know, on the paranormal team. I used to be able to watch shows on TV no end, different, like the Ghost Adventures, your typical Most Haunted, you know, everything, ghost stories, the lot. And now when you look back at it, from knowing what you do yourself, you kind of watch them. Well, is that real? Did that happen? Because you're not there, you question everything.
Exactly. I was saying I was a big Most Haunted fan way back in the day, you know, and I bought all the DVDs and, you know, watched it religiously. And it was after I started watching other ghost shows, and then things started coming out about Most Haunted, you know, that's what I'll say. And then I started watching them back, and that's when I started picking up on little bits and pieces that you never noticed before. So, no, that's no real. There's no chance that's real, kind of thing. You know, they'd walk into a place and straight away they've got a demon. You know, no, that every single investigation, they go to something. I enjoyed Most Haunted when I was like 10. Exactly. I must have been my teens or whatever.
I think I've ever watched the full episodes.
Don't.
Do you know what though? You've got, even though there's all that bad press about Most Haunted, they are the team that probably started it off for paranormal in the UK. Because at the beginning they were really good, and it was solid evidence they were getting, and they opened this whole big new book to us that got people out exploring and everything. So to that, you've got to thank them for that. But then as the years have gone on and stuff's happened, you know, I believed them up until I watched one episode and I actually seen it. You can see it on camera, something happened. I was like, I looked at Rox and I went, fucking hell, did you just see that? And it was like, you know, somebody asked for something to happen and all of a sudden you see a rock fly and it was like, oh, fuck, that you just ruined the whole of the Most Haunted for me. But no, it's the same. It's like when people probably watch the Haunted Hunts, they're not there. They're like, well, did that happen? Do you know what I mean? Because you're not there. And I think that's just second instinct for paranormal investigators. You think about it, well, I'm not there. I'm not too sure. Do you know what I mean? Somebody could tell me a story about a place that's fantastic and been there, and then you go and nothing happens. But that's not to say it's not haunted. That just means that it hasn't happened for you that night. So you don't know, do you?
What? Don't do it, Fury. You can see it's so fake. I agree with that statement about most haunted. As I used to believe it, and there was one particular episode I watched, and I never clicked on the first time, and I watched it again, and it was Derek Acora, God rest him. You know, I used to do the walkabout, you know, he didn't know where he was going, and so he'd do his walkabout, and you never knew where he was going to stop. There was one episode he's in, I think it was Edinburgh Vaults. He suddenly stops and looks in this gap in the wall, and then you see a shot of him looking in to the gap, and then I thought, wait a minute, there's a camera in that gap to show his face. So how did they know he was going to stop there and looking at the thing? But that's what kind of ruined it for me. Gail made a good comment about the atmosphere that she likes. It's a different atmosphere on an investigation. What do you think, Royce?
Yeah. One thing as well that I've found interesting is I've done a couple of places that Most Haunted have been to. And so after knowing what happened there, I mean, we walked in one place and it was a permission visit thing. And he was like, oh, that chair's broken because of Most Haunted. And like, I'd heard what they had got there and everything. And so then when you experience it for yourself and get a whole different experience, but you know, all the paranormal investigators that go and got a similar experience to you, then it's like it kind of sheds a bit of light on those sort of shows as well.
Yeah.
How do you go about? I mean, in Scotland, we're quite lucky. We've got castles and graveyards, you know, and all sorts. So location-wise up here, there is quite a few. How do you go about choosing where you're going to go?
I mostly do abandoned buildings because and I've got loads of locations of abandoned buildings and there's not going to be other people there. But I've also done places that have been like permission visits. I've done a forest. And so I've gone in graveyards and stuff like that. And so it's anything that I find interesting and want to investigate, but mostly abandoned buildings.
Do you think you get a lot of activity in abandoned buildings?
It always depends on the buildings. I mean, we've been in some and we've got absolutely nothing, and I usually won't post them on my YouTube. I did do my local pub. The owners of my local pub let me in there, and I didn't get much evidence in there. Like, we got nothing through the spirit box, but I still put that up on my channel because I thought it was cool that the landlord had let us in and stuff like that. But most of the time, it's like I've been to and sometimes I've gone and done 2 or 3 locations in a night, but we've only got a good video out of 2 or 1, so I'll only use those ones.
Because we're kind of looking at the abandoned building angle. Gail makes a good point there as well. As I said earlier on, this is what got me attracted to the haunted hunts, you know. Just rather say I can't read her comments. See, I would rather people say we never got anything than rather trying to fake it. And I think when you do that, if you tell people that you've got nothing, it shows them that you're actually genuine.
Yeah.
You know, instead of
that's part of being. That is part of the paranormal. Sorry, I had a close up on my face then, scratching my leg. But that's part of paranormal. That is part of it. You some places you don't get nothing, and there's no point trying to fake it or something. Just say, listen, I haven't got it. Doesn't mean nobody else hasn't experienced anything there. Do you know what I mean? But I have seen over the years a lot of people get offended as well, where they've captured stuff in a location and then you've been and gone, well, I never got nothing. Like, well, no, that's definitely haunted. I've been there. I know that. And all right, it's happened for you, but it hasn't happened for us. So we can't say it's haunted because we haven't experienced it, but we also can't say it's not haunted. Do you know what I mean? So it's different people's takes, different preferences.
At least it was only your face. I think she's talking about the scratching.
Well, I'm sure something else could be arranged.
Keep it clean, Charlie. Keep it clean, please. You know.
I was on about something else, Scott. You're the dirty-minded one there.
I'm Glasgow. I don't have a dirty mind.
Aye.
I don't. The women are worse than the men, I think.
No.
I mean, Ross, what do you think about? I mean, every paranormal investigator goes to graveyards. You know, I think we've all done it. You know, but I've spoke to a few people that have came up and said, "Well, if you were a spirit, would you want to hang about where you were buried?"
That is interesting because I've got some footage on a hard drive where I went to a cemetery and we got absolutely nothing. And I was thinking of putting the video up just to show that sometimes you could go somewhere that you'd expect to be haunted and still get nothing. Because, there's one thing I've noticed as well when you're talking about how some people will get evidence at a place, but someone else will go on a different night and it's not the right conditions and they don't get anything. I've got on my channel, I did a police station, and me and a friend, we got a bit of evidence. It wasn't too much, just like the odd tap. We didn't get much through on the spirit box, stuff like that. It was kind of quiet. But then I went back with 2 other paranormal channels, and the video's going to be coming up on my channel soon. And we got loads, and we stayed for hours because it just kept ramping up and up and up, and we must have just gone when it was the right conditions.
Well, that's it. I mean, Laura's comment there. Took our Halloween special Friday. We had an amazing evidence and notification before that on the night nothing. We went to a location up here maybe a couple of weeks before Halloween, and for some reason we never recorded it. I don't know why, but we never. But the stuff with the K2 meter was constantly red. 4 people that were there says that they seen this kind of white mist shaking by we used to be the windows. It was an old castle. I never seen it, but everybody else kind of seen it. But we get great evidence. We went back to do a kind of Halloween special there, and we got nothing basically.
We just get rained on.
We get rained on. That was the most exciting thing of the night. You know, we get some rain. But to back away, see what we done with another team. We get nothing. We get loads. The place called where we went to, we invited another team along just for a bit of validation for what we were picking up. And as Gail says, they done a party, we done a part, and then we swapped around. They get nothing, but we seem to get a load of evidence that they get nothing. Do you think, Ross, that spirit can get used to you being there if you keep going back and back?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to get to kind of know you in a kind of friendly way, you know, and therefore you kind of get more evidence. Has that happened to you, Ross?
I noticed because I've been back to Ivy House a few times, and what's the other place I've been back to a few times? I can't think right now. And we get the same sort of evidence come through, and you think Three Sisters House. Three Sisters House is another place I've been back a few times, and you find the more I've gone, the more evidence we've got, but you're getting the same voices through the spirit box saying the same things as they did the previous time you were there. Another interesting one I found as well is there's a well house that is up on my channel, and the spirits in there will only answer to men, not women.
Have you ever had that channel that won't answer to men? Or did you not have that at?
We have that at Pennyline Hall in Ruaben. One of our public nights we do there. There's a very intelligent spirit called Eleanor. Well, we call it Eleanor, and she answers to it. And we've been over the last 6 years, we've just been building on the same story, like Secrets of the House, and she's given us information. And when we finally got the questions out of her, she shut down. So she remembers who we are. We go into the room, dining room. We talk to her. She'll answer to only women, not men, only women. And she'll talk to them. But now, because you've asked them questions so many times, it's like she's gone, nah, I'm not speaking no more. And she always says, ask him below. And then when you go downstairs to the basement, you get of activity there. And then he always says, ask her upstairs. So it's like they're battling between each other.
Really interesting.
On it, we had there's supposed to be a secret tunnel. I don't know whether it's true, but underneath the house you've got a wine cellar, and then it's like a tunnel that's been caved in, and it leads to the church in Pennyland. Now, it's said there's supposed to be a body buried down there when it's caved in, and it was something to do with the deeds of the house. And there's actually a feud going on with the deeds of the house now, still to this day. But these deeds were lost, but it was lost in a different place in a fire. And there's a spirit that runs the house called Michael who looks for these deeds. And then he was given us like who was in the tunnel, a boy. Do you know what I mean? So loads of stuff's been coming out over the years, and it's just built and built and built. But that's because we've gone back all the time. But the same, there's another place in Chester, Stanley Palace. We don't do that no more, but you can guarantee on the 5th of August every year, it's like an anniversary date. It's so active. The 5th of August every year, it's just bang. And you can always trigger it there at 12 o'clock. Every time you go there, 12 o'clock at night, you start to hear footsteps above you, stuff dragging, like people coming down the stairs. It's amazing. But I do think that they do get to know you over time. Like, you know, like we've had conversations, Scott, where you showed me evidence. I said, the more you go back, the more you can trigger it because it gets used to you being there. It's almost like a bit of mutual respect. As long as you're respectful, it's neat. But then there's places I've been that I've had to go, and you get better activity that way as well. So,
but you do. I think the spirit. I think spirits. I don't know what you think, Rob, but I think spirits can also tell you walk into at a location, let's say an abandoned house, for instance. You walk in and the spirits see you. I think they can pick up right away whether you're a kind of a light energy or a kind of negative kind of person sort of thing. Do you think they can pick up on that as soon as they sort of meet you?
I do think that. I went to one place once, and one of the people with me was the sort of person who has like a bad energy about them, and they also weren't happy about going to this place. And the activity we got back from his energy in the house was insane. And I got activity in my own home that followed us back after that night as well.
mad, isn't it?
I was that's another question I was going to ask you about, attachments and what have you. Have you ever had anything attached to you come up the road with you?
A couple of times, yeah. And I've got kids, so they don't enjoy it. But the worst one was I was once sat in my living room, and my bedroom's above me. And so I was sat and I had paused the TV while I was sending a message, so I didn't miss what I was watching. And I heard these really loud, heavy footsteps stomp across my bedroom floor, and then my bedroom door slammed. And so I went upstairs, no one was there, but the door was shut. It had actually been, yeah. I called my partner up at 2 a.m. Like, will you come back round mine and make sure no one's in my house? Generally sounded like there was a grown man in my bedroom. So that was crazy.
When I'm not here, but I hate it.
Yeah, and we've had the lights going off and on, and footsteps upstairs when no one's upstairs, things like that. Yeah,
that's spooky, isn't it?
Just
before we go talk about Ivy House, just before we come to Ivy House, just what Charlie saying about anniversary hauntings. What's your kind of view on them and about why they happen? Or
I think a lot of places will hold on to the energy of events that happened, so it might be. To us, we're seeing it as an anniversary of having paranormal activity, but to the spirits there, it's an anniversary of another event. And it might just be that day is the perfect day for them all to show themselves and let themselves be heard.
Well, what's your thoughts on it, Charlie? Why?
Yeah, it definitely. I agree with that. It is. I think it is. It can be energy that's left there. It is, like you said, something that's happened. Like for us in Stanley Palace, we kind of realised this was the day that James Stanley, he was like the 7th Earl of Derby, Oliver Cromwell and his men captured him and we believe it was on this day because we always used to trigger by quick, James, run, run. And when you go into there, you'll see like your base room, you can use the kitchen. Then you've got a dining area where you can sit, and there's a fireplace. And just by that fireplace, there's a hollow floor, whereas it used to be like a hatch where you could get underneath and it'd leave out to the river in Chester. So you would say, you know, finger, and there used to be stairs by there, like twirling stairs, and you'd hear footsteps if somebody was coming down the stairs there, and there's no stairs there. So you'd always say to James, like, run, James, quick, he's coming. Oliver Cromwell's coming. Run, James, run. And you would hear literally footsteps run across the gallery upstairs. Then you'd hear like footsteps coming down the stairs. We call it EVPs of it. I do really believe an anniversary where spirits do leave that energy there, you know, whether it's residual or not. But I don't know if you heard, I've seen an article a couple of weeks ago. Somebody had went to Wooton Hall in Liverpool, and whether it's true or not, but he supposedly had a call on camera on EVP, a spirit actually saying to him, "Show yourself to me, please." So it's.
I've been to Wooton Hall.
Yeah, I've been to Wooton Hall. It's we captured on the spirit box portal some man going, "Get out!" like proper, because it's a Freemasons manor, isn't it? And but this article, whether it's true or not, it just goes to show if it is true. Do spirits see us as spirits? Do you know what I mean? They lost in that time. Do they see us? It's always that theory. Are we ghosts to them? And they're trying to find out what we're doing there, why we're there, making a noise. It's very interesting.
That's a good point. Actually, you know, how would a spirit see us?
Yeah.
I've always thought that because we've asked spirits investigations before, can you see us? And sometimes they'll say yes. And sometimes we've asked, how many is there of us? And they'll say 3 and get it right and things like that. And so I think a lot of the time they can see us.
Well, it's funny to as well, because at Colwell we got a bit of evidence. I've never thought about that. Yeah, I'd never thought about it, but never in that way. And one of the EVPs we picked up is a woman saying, it was actually the clip that Andy Murphy took apart for us. And it's like there's a man and a woman and I think a couple of kids there. And for what we can make out on it is the woman's telling the man to basically be quiet. We're asking questions. The man's wanting to answer, but the woman's telling him, you know, shh, kind of thing. And there's one particular time she turns around and says quite clearly, they can see you. Or can they see? Well, they can see you.
They can see you.
They can see you.
Yeah, we had, if you go back to season 3, Pendle, where we done Sadler's Farm, you hear like 2 witches captured talking through the portal, and it says, I remember them. I think we caught that on the Ovulus, and it says, do you see them? And it was a voice come back with, I see them. And then it was like, take them. And it was like, it was mad how they were coercing between each other about us. Do you know what I mean? And we saw shadows in that room as well. It's like, it was a bit surreal, like, hang about, they're talking about us here. What they got planned for us?
Well, like spirits saying, he's here, look at the girl, and stuff like that. We've had that. So it is always really mad when you get evidence like that. Yeah.
I tell you, there's a mad place where we've done in Liverpool again, Mill Street Barracks. We done there years ago now, and I was goading because there's supposedly supposed to be a dark and negative haunting down in the basement that doesn't like women, or he treated women and children badly, so the story says. So I was goading and goading, going, you can't touch anybody here, you can't do this. And all trigger objects were going off, and Roxanne was standing right at the back of everybody, and something grabbed her on the bum. And it was, I was telling him he couldn't hurt nobody, and he'd done it to my wife as if to say,
wow,
mate, I can do that. And there was nobody behind her either. And she went, you can't believe this. She said there was about 16 of them in the room, and they were all in front of Roxanne. She was at the back, and he just grabbed her bum, and it was like, yeah, mate, I can do this, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
kind of defiance kind of thing, you know, who can't do us watching up,
Yeah.
and I'll do it for you. But I mean, that kind of evidence, it's hard to, you can't debunk that, you know, because you can't explain it. As you say, Charlie, at Pendle, with the two, I get the feeling it was a woman and a child that were talking
Yeah.
in that room. I think they asked where is thou going or something like that as well. And it is quite clear that two of them are having a kind of conversation. And
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of debunk. But the Ivy House, so you know, as you see, Ross, that's quite a horrible history to it.
Don't have any definitive history, but local rumours say that the guy who lived there was a mad professor, and there's evidence in the house that he had written instructions for making bombs and all sorts, so he was very intelligent, but apparently killed his wife.
With an axe, I heard.
Yeah, with an axe. So some people call it Axe House.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the local rumour. I haven't been able to find some actual definitive evidence of that happening, but that's what he said locally. And so, yeah, that might explain why there's so much activity. But still, there's also someone's found a funeral card for a little boy in the house. And someone once told me, I actually went in as someone was coming out, and he said, if you stay till 1 a.m., you'll hear a little girl crying. And then someone else has said to me, oh, I've heard a little girl crying in the night there. I've never heard it myself, but two different people who don't know each other have said it to me now. So I don't know why the place has got such mad activity. I do know that people have done spirit boards in there, and Zozo was let into the house.
Proven demons did some summoning.
Proven demons summoned a demon in the house as well. That's why people now call it Demon House. But yeah, I don't think people realised that Zozo was let into before that. And it was Zozo because I had it kept coming through on the spirit box all night saying, I'm a demon, I'm the devil. And we're like, well, what's your name? What's your name? And then after we'd been there for hours, it came through and went, Zozo. Like, hours we asked.
Which I heard as well.
Yeah, my partner heard as well, who's a complete skeptic. And I was like, right, let's go.
Take me away. So, Roger, what kind of feeling did you get when you went into the house?
Absolute dread. So there's times we've been there and we've walked in and we've gone, hang on a minute, it's calm. Something's not right.
I was uneasy the first time.
And yeah, there's been times we've been in and it's been just calm and we've got no activity. But then there's other times you go in and you feel sick, you feel dread, and it feels really oppressive, and you think, we're going to get activity here tonight. And it's always the same things that come through on the spirit box going, demon, the devil. And like a year apart, I've been, and the same voice has come through the spirit box saying, I'm the devil, I'm a demon.
It's like a second home for us now.
It is like a second home for us. We spent far too long there.
So you get a home away from home, basically.
Yeah.
We would love to go. So Charlie, obviously you did it when you've done season 3, season 4.
Season 4.
Season 4. How did you feel you went? And I know you had quite an intense experience.
Well, it was from the get-go, so never we walked in, even off camera, the amount of noise that was in that, I had to go upstairs and check to make sure there was nobody else in there, because it is open to public, isn't it? It's a very open space, do you know what I mean? And I had to go upstairs literally twice or 3 times. I think I went up to check. I thought there's got to be. I even checked up in the attic part, which isn't stable, because just at the back of the stairs there's like a drop in there through the house. So I went upstairs in the attic, everywhere, checked everywhere, and there was nothing, but it was full on footsteps, dragging noises, banging, the whole
We
lot.
got a lot of dragging noises. like
Yeah.
something being dragged across the
It,
floor.
it almost sounded big enough to be like a body. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was big,
Yeah.
heavy, yeah. And so we done obviously me, Roxanne, and Emma. We've done our parts and stuff like that. Obviously, we didn't know where we were going because obviously we just get a postcode. But we have heard of Ivy House. You know what I mean? We have heard of it, and we were doing our own visuals. Roxanne, she felt really uneasy as if somebody was standing by the door watching her downstairs. Emma, quite surprisingly, she done it in the bathroom, and she didn't hear nothing, but we could hear stuff going on outside, and she couldn't hear none of it. It was like it was a safe zone for her in the bathroom. Now I done, do you know the room that's got the 666 written on the walls and the human pentagram drawn on the floor? Now I was doing a spirit box session in there, and it wasn't captured on the spirit box. It was actually captured DVP in the hallway. You could hear a woman screaming, like a proper cry for help, scream as if she was getting hurt, like seriously hurt. And from there, it just spiraled. I thought I seen shadows on the stairs. We were all on the top of the stairs. At one point, we could hear people downstairs as if there was somebody walking around below us. It was really, from the get-go, just bang. And since then, I went back with a couple of regulars that used to come on the public nights. And, you know, we made friends with, so we go out and thingy. And I actually caught an EVP on the stairs, left it on the stairs, and it was a woman's voice saying, "Help us." So it was really, and it, like, when we look back, it coincided with like the woman screaming and stuff that we'd heard. And then for this woman to come through going, "Help us," it's like, is she in trouble? Is there something in the house? It shouldn't be. It's a fantastic out. If Scott, if you ever get the chance to go down there, honest to God, mate, it is for an abandoned house.
I'll come with you.
Yeah.
It's funny you should say about going and checking for people in there. Even the last time we were there, I mean, a few times we've been upstairs and we thought someone's coming downstairs. We can hear them walking and having a conversation, and you go downstairs and no one's there.
No.
And I've even caught on camera, you can hear footsteps in the hall while we're all sat down in a circle in silence in front of the camera.
Yeah. It is mad there. The activity there is unreal, especially for like your footsteps, your bangs, you know, hearing people talking. It is, you hear muttering all the time in there. You constantly feel as if somebody's staring at you all the time. You feel surrounded. It's a really good location, like really good location, especially for an abandoned building. So you want to mark that one down, Scott, honestly, mate, to go there.
Got my pen. I will. It's one of these. I mean, all the haunted houses were good, but the Ivy House really caught my attention. You know, I don't know why. It's just something about it. The whole kind of background to it, the team's reaction. You know what you've got, and then Ross yourself as well. Also, you're on at the start. You know, giving your description and what have you, and it really did catch my attention more than any of the other locations that he's covered. And you see, you picked up the woman saying "help us," and then the dragging sound. Would that not kind of coincide with the reported story of the woman being murdered in it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, you know what I mean. But like you said, people have been there with Ouija boards, and not that I don't believe in Ouija boards or nothing like that. I've only seen a handful, not even a handful, work really. That I've seen. You've got to really trust the people that are on them, because there's a lot of people pretending, and you've got to be careful. You have got to be. People think they're toys, and they're just scare attractions, and they're not. People can fetch things through that shouldn't be there. And it's almost a disappointment, because the spirits that are actually there, possibly going day by day by their own lives, as you would see it in like a memory, then something's coming into that house to disturb them, and it just upsets the whole thing. And it's you've got to be really careful.
That house is a prime example of what Ouija boards can do, because this is the thing. I know that another paranormal group contacted Zozo on the board in that house because I knew their friend, but a lot of people don't know it. They call it Demon House because Proven Demons actually did a ritual to let a demon in the house in that room with the 666 on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has. So yeah, it's a crazy house, crazy.
So it's no really, I mean, we're no big in the Ouija board, you know. I tried it for the first time last year when we done Sherwood Forest with GSI.
It was last year.
I was last October or something. Yeah, I think it was beginning of October with Sherwood Forest. I'd never wanted to try the Ouija board, but I did make a promise with GSI. If we ever met up, then, you know, I'll try a Ouija board. As long as one of their founders drank a can of Iron Brew, I would do the Ouija board. So, you know, he necked Iron Brew. So that, right, you know, you're half of the bargain now. I tried it. I found it quite calming. Using it only lasted like 10 minutes or something. That's one session.
You did. I was just sitting. I was chilling.
I found it quite calming, but it sounds to me like the Ivy House as a kind of place that don't take a Ouija board, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can take a Ouija board. You can take one if you want to, but just be extremely careful when using it. Do you know what I mean? Like we always say, like when we have guests on our nights, that's just our personal preference as a team. The way we do it, different people do it different. You can't judge people; they do things different, what have you. But we say to people, we have Ouija boards there. They want to go on it, we will guide them, but none of the team members will go on them. One, for the fact that some people may think that the team's trying to, you know, fucking play around and what have you. Two, I always tell them, listen, if you think somebody's pushing it, turn your fingers upside down and put your nail on it, because your nail will slide. If you think somebody's pushing, your nail just slides straight across the glass. So there's no way anybody can try and, you know, try and move it themselves. And I always find a good planchette with good rubbers on that's hard to move because you'll see the board move with it. So it's, but I always say, if you're using a Ouija board and a spirit's moving it, you shouldn't have to touch it. Open it up, but you shouldn't have to touch it. The spirit moving. I seen a clip on a video a couple of weeks back. This guy had a camera up here filming, and as he turned away, just on the camera, you see the planchette move on its own, which was mad.
See, I've thought about it. I know, you know, you put your finger in the planchette for kind of energy, I think it is, what have you. But I've always thought that as well. You know, if a spirit is actually moving the planchette, why not just leave it alone and let it do its own thing?
But there's always that part of your energy as well. Like people say, your energy helps that energy move it and helps bring you, unless you've got a really strong spirit. But like I said, I've only seen possibly 2 or 3 work. One in Penny Lane, we had upstairs, went back to it being a farmland before it was a big manor house, 12-year-old girl. And then there was one where Roxanne's granddad come through, but that was before we were on the team, and then they shut it down because it's personal. You've got to be very careful when it's personal as well. You don't know, might not necessarily be a family member, it could be somebody playing tricks. And then I think I seen one where this woman in Riffingall in prison there, and honest to God, it is the quickest I've ever seen. Nobody can keep their fingers on it. Literally, it was boom, 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 just moving everywhere across board. Nobody trying to put their fingers on it. They couldn't. It was just flying everywhere. So that one was a really convincing one for me.
What's your thoughts on it, Roz? Gail's saying when we go into anyway, then get back.
See, I've recently bought a spirit board. I've never had them work for me, but it's something that I want to try for my videos and stuff. And I do think that Ivy House would be an interesting place to take it because of the amount of activity in there. So it is something that I'm gonna try on my channel and stuff like that.
That's it. It's, you know, it's trial and error. Laura made a comment earlier on. I might put up, sorry, Laura, it's weird when one member of your team's name is called, but when there's 4 members, team's name is called, that's not. But that happened to us on Friday when we were out, 4 members of the team's names came through.
Aye, that was quite creepy.
I don't think mine did.
No, it was
No, I
mine.
didn't like me.
It was mine first, then it was Laura, then it was Gail, but I don't know who the 4th was.
Reese, I think it was. So you're going to give that a go, Ross, and see what happens?
Yeah, I'm up for doing anything. It's like this year, I just want to try loads of new things, get loads of new stuff on my channel, and like I'm really excited, and I'm going to be trying and getting new equipment and stuff like that.
So yeah, tech. I mean, I'm not a fan of tech. And last few investigations we done last year were trying old-fashioned methods, which we're going to keep trying. You know, not doing away with tech, but try to look at old-fashioned methods like compasses. You know, basic things. You know, what's your view on the kind of old-fashioned way?
I like using both, to be honest. I mean, everyone's got the different things that they like. And I just think it's interesting when people get evidence, no matter what they're using, to be honest, because there are so many different ways that spirits can communicate. And so, yeah, I've used pendulums and dowsing rods, but I love my spirit box. And I've been using necrophonic lately. That's something that I've just started using. And so, yeah, I do love my spirit box, though, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I've got a friend who's got a laser grid as well. And we've sat there and seen things moving through it. So that's interesting. That's what I like as well. Different things are going to show up, different evidence, which is always interesting.
We get a good capture on the laser grid, but I'll let Sarah, I need to step out for a wee second. I'll let Sarah tell you about them. I'll be back in a second. Talk amongst yourselves.
So last year, when we first kind of started, when we were inexperienced, so to speak, we done 2 investigations in this room, but the computer was in that corner, and with the laser grid against the wall that's behind this computer, and we'd finished up the investigation, and the next day I was looking through the footage, and you could see this thing walk through the grid, and it was really slow, but we thought, right, maybe it was one of us, blah blah blah. And then we done another investigation, and we left the camera running, and the camera was focused on the wall. We went to bed, and then you seen the same thing, but this time it ran across the wall. That was really...
I thought I heard the wee one up, but she's no.
That was good.
Aye, we get that capture on the laser, and it's hard to debunk the laser grid. I think, you know, if you've got enough cameras on it and the right angles, and it clearly shows that there's nothing, you know, running by or flying by.
That's what I'm saying. That the first time we thought it was maybe us, so the second time we'd obviously the camera was sitting in the kitchen doorway, pointing directly at the wall. So and we also had the webcam on as well, so you could see that me and Scott were sitting. There was nobody else in the room. Our wee girl wasn't even in the house. The cats were locked out, so it was totally... We can't explain it.
It's just one of these things. It's just, you know, it's a kind of lucky capture, but it's on the YouTube channel. So what's your plans for 22, Rock?
I've got quite a few plans. Like I'm looking at new locations, and I will be looking for new ones. So yeah, and I just want to try new things and do longer investigations, things like that. So I'm just really excited to get going on things like that.
Get back to the Ivy House.
I'll probably go back to Ivy House. I'm looking to work with other people as well. Like the past few months, I've just been going, just me and my friend have been going, or me and my partner. And so recently I've collabed with some other YouTube channels. So, and I've got plans to collab with some other people as well next month. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well. You know, bring a bit of variety to my channel, not just me.
I think it'd be really good if you and Charlie done the Ivy House.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Charlie back into the lion's den, kind of thing. You know,
Going all wild.
I can't grow. I'll try.
Getting a growl.
I try. I can't wait to get my new teeth. Then I'll be like, do the growl.
Another thing, did you find at Ivy House you were getting your power drained on things?
Yes. A lot of camera. I was talking to Scott the other night, and we were talking about this, weren't we, about equipment draining and stuff, batteries draining, phones dying. There was a lot of that. It is like a lot. Even ourselves were getting quite drained towards the end of the night. We were shattered. It just took all of our energy out of us.
Yeah, I found that I've obviously keeping an eye on my monitor for how long I've been filming, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, my battery's gonna die. I've just put a new battery in. I had another friend, he went in with all his camera and his light set up, and the minute he stepped foot in the house, he heard a growl and everything died, and he was just stood in pitch black. Just all his equipment drained.
Who's that, Mark?
That was Mark, yeah.
Well, I had a weird one the other week. We're obviously filming for season 5, and the first location. And now I wear a watch. It's recently new, so the battery wasn't dead. And I was telling you when I got it, like the watch had actually lost an hour.
Wow!
Like, completely lost an hour. So like we were talking to Dan and that, and he's like, it's the time. I went, oh, it's 7:30. He went, no, it's not. I went, yeah, it is. He went, it's 8:30. And I went, how? You know, when I got here, we got here on time. We knew what the time was, as if my clock, my watch had just stopped, but it was still ticking, still going round. So it was as if the watch had just completely stopped for an hour. And that was the first time I'd ever experienced. Whether I'd knocked it on accident, I can't say, because usually you have to pull the pin out to stop it, don't you? So the pin wasn't out enough, and it just completely lost an hour on the watch. Unreal.
See, it's funny. It's kind of the same thing. There's no one time I went to Greyfriars, which I was just myself. It was during the afternoon, and in Greyfriars are benches dotted, you know, different places. And I sat down on a bench, and it felt like about half an hour. But when I looked at my phone, I'd been there for like 3 hours. But, you know, it just totally went in like that. And I looked at my phone, I thought, you know, I better go get the bus, you know, whatever. And the time just seemed to disappear. Fly by, disappear. So it's kind of something similar, I think, in a way, to your watch. You losing an hour, even though you didn't lose an hour, but you did.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think
I've had that a couple of times when I've been in a location and we think, right, you feel like you've been there for about half an hour, and then we've looked at the time and we're like, hang on a minute, we've been in here 3 hours now. Where's that time gone?
That's exactly what happened to me that day. And I mean, it was still sunny. You know, the sun didn't get down or anything. It was the exact same kind of setting as it was when I first sat down, and it was like 3.5 hours or something I'd been there for, and it just totally went by. I mean, Charlie and I have spoke before about spirit manipulating, you know, like cameras and tech. What do you think, Ross? Do you think a spirit's able to turn a camera off?
Definitely. In my very first videos on my channel, which is Ivy House, you can hear something touching the camera and you can see it moving in and out of focus. And we aren't even in the room when it's moving in and out of focus at times, because we left and we had another camera in the hall, which I completely lost the footage to. It got home, it's like, where's this footage? It's gone. I've lost footage. I've on different kinds of cameras as well, so it's not the camera. I've had cameras drain. I've had them turn off. I've had them stop recording. Loads of things with my equipment, but mostly cameras draining or turning themselves off or stopping recording. But Ivy House, you can actually hear the camera being touched and played with.
That's strange. I know that the word, you know, coincidental and coincidence, right? I don't believe there is such a thing, the paranormal. Well, let's face it, I like your opinions on this as well. When you get like battery draining, cameras turning off, you know, all that kind of thing, stuff you just mentioned there, Ross, it happens not just to one person, but it happens all the time. It's happened to us a few times. We've had footage in the vaults that never turned out. Never turned out. There's one particular location up here that we get back to this weekend twice. We're filmed there and it's just no worked.
No, 3 times we filmed.
Sorry, 3 times we
You
filmed
went
there.
twice yourself, and then we done it as a daytime investigation to see if that would make any difference. And on the camera, on the footage, it looks as if it's super sunny and really, really bright. That day was relatively sunny, but it wasn't sunny enough that I had to put the lens cover on it in, and the footage is totally as if somebody's shining a bright light straight on the camera.
Yeah. I've found it's quite common for spirits to manipulate equipment.
I think this is mere evidence to prove the paranormal. I don't think it's coincidence.
No.
That happens to hundreds of teams, worldwide, whatever. The same things happen kind of over and over again. Would you think would just put it down to coincidence or paranormal?
Definitely paranormal. I mean, I've had it happen. I've seen it when I've watched shows. I've seen it happen to them. But now that I've had it happen to me time and time again, it's definitely paranormal. Definitely. Especially when I've gone out with a brand new camera with full battery, and next thing you know, it's stopping recording on its own, the battery's draining. You just know, well, it's a brand new camera. It's not the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That happened to us on Friday, didn't it?
That happened to us on Friday. I was holding one of the news cameras we bought, and I was standing holding it, and twice it came up on the screen, bye, and then it just cut off. And the battery, there was about 3/4 of battery in it, and then it came back on, and a short time later it came up again, bye, and it
So I
cut off.
replaced the battery with a brand new one that hadn't even been used. It was just out the wrapper. Put that in and straight away, bang, it was dead.
Wow.
I don't think there is such a thing as it's coincidence. I think that's a load of bollocks, basically. There's a reason why the same things happen over and over again to different teams, etc. But we kind of ran over the hour. So just before we go, Ross, you want to tell everybody your channel and where they can find you, kind of thing?
Yeah, on YouTube and my social medias, which are linked on my YouTube, it's Roisin In Wonderland. So, yeah, if you just look up Roisin In Wonderland on YouTube, and I've got all my socials links on there as well, so you can find everything on there.
And we'll pop the links up on our Facebook page, Facebook page. Charlie, you want to plug your channel? You know, everybody knows.
We got our own Facebook, but obviously we're with the Haunted Hunts, but me and Roxanne have just set up Charlie and Rox Paranormal. So we're going to start this year, obviously, as well, trying to get out and do some of our own stuff as well on our own, like you said, yourselves, abandoned buildings, different stuff like that. Just something to break away from the Haunted Hunts as well. So we got the Haunted Hunts, but we got something different for ourselves. And just normal stuff. We've got filming coming up, public nights starting back up again this year. So we've been meeting new faces, which is always great. New skeptics, fantastic, love it.
New people to twerk it. I mean, basically. I'll keep a hold of you 2 years if that's all right for a wee second after we come off. So that's it for tonight, folks. We're back on Thursday with Haunted Paintings, and then we've got a quiz night this Sunday. We'll be seeing Charlie again, who's down there.
Yeah. Do you reckon Andy's going down or what?
Somebody is, put it that way, buddy, somebody is going down to Losertown.
Well, listen, we won the last quiz, so we got to win again.
Let's not talk about the
I'm
last
just
quiz.
glad it's not
Remember, Roisin Wonderland and Charlie and Rox, give them a wee look up and a wee follow and all the usual bits and bobs, because they're well worth it. And Charlie promises not to twerk. Thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll see you all again very soon, and take care. So, bye for now. Bye.
Hey, guys.